his hubris and keeps gaslighting himself, Maggie, and the audience. And gaslighting is his character flaw, right? And he has yet to own up to it. And Lucy addressed this as well in episode 2, that he should just admit that he relished being a monster and that he was entertained by assaulting all these women in season 7 to, do whatever, kiss him and dress in skimpy dresses for him. And why doesn't he admit that instead of just saying that everybody else is misinterpreting his actions? Because real character growth would mean that he recognizes his mistakes and grows from it, admits it. That shows growth, maturity, and respect for others. Otherwise, it's kind of insulting, like he's trying to, say that he didn't do it. And, that's the hero's journey. That's classic literature. And classic Greek tragedy, like Hamlet or Oedipus, is when characters have this hubris and they deny that they even have any flaws at all. So I wonder if he's going to eventually have a tragic hero's ending by the end of the series. But I think the problem I have is viewers can't recognize that this is his character flaw that he's going to correct by the end of the series. Instead, they're buying into what he said, I'm only putting on a show to protect who I love. And they're using that to defend Negan. And they're buying his line, hook, line, and sinker. But this could be really brilliant. Going back to the Dhamma is like forcing Negan to literally put on a performance now and be a monster to protect, in order to protect Herschel and to protect those that he cares for now. So if season 2 can draw a distinction between his performance for the Dhamma versus his supposed performance when he brutally murdered Glenn and Abraham, that could be really, really interesting and complex. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I don't really have anything against the everything that you said. I mean, or really anything to push back on, because I agree with a lot of that. I've kind of tried my best, as much as I'm a fan of Negan as a character, and the complicatedness that he is of a character. I made this comparison, I think, either last week or the week before, in that one of my favorite characters from Lost is Ben.
Right.
And it is because of how complicated of a character he is, both the good and evil side of him. And Negan kind of falls into that as well. And I do agree with you. He does suffer from a lot of hubris where he doesn't admit what his flaws actually are. I feel like Negan kind of does realize the person that he was in the past, but he's too afraid to actually vocally admit it.
Yeah. And that's that's true to real life, because humans never want to admit their faults or their sins. It's really hard to do.
And you can see that when he's talking to the Croat in the ambulance and he has to agree with him a couple of times, where the Croat says like, oh, that was a beautiful moment. And Negan says like, yeah, it was. But you can see he's clearly like, I don't want to say that, but he goes along with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and going on the other point that you made, too, about the Dhamma asking him to put on a performance for the sake of protecting himself and protecting Herschel, I think it goes a little bit further than that, and that she's also asking him to put on the performance for the sake of herself and her people.
Yeah.
She wants him to put on that performance to protect them.
Yeah.
And that resource.
Have a community, yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting, as Penny, as you mentioned, her coming from a theater background, which I think we're assuming because that's where they are, is that theater. We have to assume that she is somebody who comes from a theater background. I think is very appropriate or apropos that she is somebody. She's an actress asking somebody else to perform with her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. He is in many senses his stage partner. They are putting on a show together.
Mm-hmm.
Or she's the director. Maybe she wants him to be the face, the star, and she wants to remain, behind the curtain, behind the wings, where she's not. She knows she's not the person who can be in front of everyone and be the charismatic leader who gives big speeches and stuff. She's a quieter person. She's a character actress, right? He's a leading man, so she wants to direct him and pull the strings, as we've been saying. She's That's a good point too. You're right. She's the director. This is her stage show. Negan is the leading man. The Croat is just a stand-in.
or a co-star.
Yep.
Like that's all he is.
The understudy.
The understudy.
Yeah.
She's needed her leading man, and she has him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is all her performance.
I love that she said he was a politician because politicians are like performative too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
So they. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say her concern or prediction that, New Babylon is going to come for their resource and try to take over is almost certainly correct. We know that the leader of New Babylon, who they didn't name, I don't know why, wants to know about the methane, right? And then the next step will be trying to go and acquire Manhattan and or, the Croat and his genius methane system. I have a whole point about New Babylon. I don't know if now's the time to
go for it.
That.
Yeah.
All right. So New Babylon is fascinating to me. I really want to get more backstory. Babylon is, of course, a historical city. It's one of the earliest places that we know that human civilization was developed, but it has sort of a biblical meaning as well. Babylon is known as, it's a name for any city that is rich and magnificent and believed to be a place of excessive luxury and wickedness. It's a place known for corruption. The name Babylon is derived from an Akkadian word, Babalu, meaning gate of God. But Babylon is known to be a counterfeit of God's eternal city, right? It's people pretending to be righteous, but they are actually corrupt and evil and selfish and a lot of other things. That's the metaphor of Babylon. So it's interesting to me that anybody would pick that as the name of their capital city. And what does that tell us about them? And then there's the sign as they're entering New Babylon, right? It says, "Welcome to New Babylon, capital city of the New Babylon Federation, Tranquilitas Ordinis." And Tranquilitas Ordinis is Latin, and it stands for the peace of all things or well-ordered conduct. It was originally coined by Augustine, a 3rd century Catholic theologian who was later sainted. And his understanding of that phrase and his the meaning that he put behind that phrase is that peace comes from order, and that the order has to be the order that is established by God. Mm-hmm. So by saying Tranquilitas Ordinis, it's almost like New Babylon is saying that they are, righteous and are a city of God, and that they are bringing order to everyone in a just way and a peaceful way. But it seems to me that they are corrupt and that they are liars, and that just because they have this veneer of law and order doesn't mean that they're good people or that they should be in charge. And we can see that this leader is, she's literally a cigar chomping like stereotype.
Yeah.
And she has no name. But she's acquisitive, she's greedy, and she's not very subtle about threatening Pearlie with, harm coming to his family.
Yeah.
I found the whole thing really, really fascinating. And it's like New Babylon wants the world to think that they are, godlike, and that they have some kind of divine right of governance and power. But at the same time, they are corrupt, and it's in their name, which I find just like a really fun mind fuck.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of, it's kind of funny because you're right. In the name alone, hearing the name New Babylon in the first episode of this series is already kind of a foreshadowing as to the kind of place that it is, that we don't see until the finale of this season. So that's a very interesting point too.
Did we learn how she knows about the methane?
Well, he told the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
She says, "Tell me the story again and tell me more about the methane."
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't even pick that up.
I assumed he had been like leaving a lot out, and she was just admitting that she already knew something and was trying to get him.
I think
he told her.
I think he told her.
I'm pretty sure he told her. We just didn't see the whole. We didn't see him tell all of the story. We saw him tell the end so that we know what he said about Negan. But then as Penny mentioned, she says, "Tell me the story again, but this time tell me more about the methane." Mm-hmm. So
she doesn't care about Negan.
Yeah,
she really doesn't care about
That's the
Negan.
implication that he told her about the methane.
So
yeah, and she's like, methane could change everything for New Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
We would have
it would
so
give
much
us more
power if we had
cigars.
that fuel.
Yeah, right.
I hate that trope of like the villain like describing and defining their luxury to the person who's forced to listen to them.
As soon as she started, you're like, just say you're a villain.
Or chess or like whiskey, right? That they have to like tell some poor plebe about how cool it is that they like this expensive.
Just twirl your mustache and be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you suddenly
it's refreshing to have a black woman villain. I don't remember the last time I saw one of those, but Walking Dead has a lot of female villains, which is progressive of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Jocelyn. Yeah. Jocelyn was black villain.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Who's Jocelyn?
Michonne's old pal.
Her old friend.
Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Yeah.
That's right.
So we got
one episode.
Nice, Karen. I like that.
There was a little bit of geography mess around again, too, because in the first episode, Maggie drives by the New Babylon sign and then arrives at the bricks. And in this episode, Pearlie drops her off at the bricks and then drives past the New Babylon sign. So unless it faces both ways on each side of the street, they're playing a little fast and loose with their geography there.
There's there was a couple things in this episode that are little nitpicks as far as the layout of New York City that kind of bugged me a little bit. Because again, I'm somebody I love New York City. So in the scene where Maggie and Negan are up in the building and Maggie is telling the whole story about Santa Claus and how she wanted to go to Macy's and everything, and she points down at the building and you see the Macy's sign on the corner in the street, and I'm like, oh, they're on 6th Avenue. I know exactly where they are because I know that corner. I know that corner of the building is right on 6th Avenue. It's at 6th Avenue and I think 34th Street.
Yeah.
And then they see the car drive in front of the building. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not a street. That's a sidewalk. The street is further away from the building. You should not be driving there because that street does not exist. And then we see him turn on the 34th and head towards the water. And then the next scene we see is Maggie and Negan at some kind of area down at the wharf. So we can see the river, we can see the Hudson in the background. There's an entrance over a door, so I think it's some kind of ferry outlet, but I don't know where they are. That I tried for the life of me. I'm like, I don't know where they are in New York. And I think somebody had mentioned online it's the Staten Island ferry terminal. I'm like, no, it's not, because it looks nothing like that. And that's down at Battery Park. I'm like, that was a long drive. A long walk.
Yeah, no, they were in Midtown.
Yeah.
There are wharfs and docks on the west side there. I've definitely boarded one of those ships where they do the tour around New York City.
Yeah.
You know, over there. But that looked like a loading dock to me, like a place.
What I was looking at was the facade of the building before they walked in, and I'm like, I don't recognize that at all.
That's completely fabricated.
I think it is. I think wherever they were was some kind of probably ferry terminal or boat dock or something like that. Because again, I did see an entrance sign over a door, which makes me think it's public, which leads me more to ferry loading than loading dock. But I think that facade was completely made up for the sake of wherever they were, because I don't recognize it anywhere in New York City.
Walking Dead has always played real fast and loose with geography.
Yep.
And also that museum they go to in season 9 was like definitely not a Washington DC museum.
Well, even
you have to sort of like give up on ever understanding the map.
Well, even the theater that they go to, the Prince whatever theater, does not exist. It is not a real theater in New York City.
Well, maybe there's just a giant butterfly effect that happened like 300 years earlier that led to whatever creates the zombie virus, but also that changed the locations of things just slightly enough that that it works.
Right, it's a parallel universe.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, they should be looking for Doctor Strange's Sanctorum somewhere in the city. It's got to exist there. But it did kind of warm my heart a little bit when I did see Maggie look out and see Macy's. I was like, oh,
yeah,
I know that area. I know that 6th Avenue. I know exactly where they are.
Well, when they get to that location, whatever it is, and Negan goes out walking across the rafters or the beams above the zombies. At first, I thought this was like a pretty clever move for him trying to get away from Maggie, because it seemed to be implied that she was afraid of heights earlier on in the season. But then she just like hopped on and came after him. So I was like, come on. I really wanted them to like play with that a little bit more. And then we do get...
Me too. I thought about that too.
Yeah, like she could have just, I don't know, been scared for a moment so that it made sense for him to run over there. And then we got a couple of superhero falls and jumps onto that tarp.
Conveniently.
Yeah, just... They clearly they had some like string work going on, and they just maybe went a little too hard because it felt a little Marvel for me.
Yeah, her fall off of there kind of was like, oh, that looks a little stuck.
Yeah, and you're like, there's no way those are mattresses. Like,
fall on cardboard boxes.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're right too. That's another thing that we got in the pilot of this that we kind of predicted we were going to see more of, and that's Maggie's possible fear of heights, and they never followed through with it. They never capitalized on it.
Yep.
So maybe it's just more seeds to be planted for the further seasons. I don't know, but
or she was just so driven, she was able to overcome that fear.
Yeah, I don't even think, but see, I didn't even pick up on that. So if that was the case, it didn't play out the way they wanted it to.
Not at all.
It didn't play out the way they wanted it to at all.
So I should have tacked this on with Karen's point when we were talking about Negan a little bit, but it does feel like they have slowly been trying to retcon him into having always been a good guy, which it would be, I think it could have been very interesting to kind of continue those points where I think in this, they imply that one of the early groups that they ran into, Negan wasn't actually the one who killed one of the people of that group. He handed it to the Croat, and the Croat did the killing. Yeah. And then later on in The Walking Dead, they kind of imply like, no, Simon's the crazy one. He's been killing people. And they keep doing this where they're kind of chipping away, and he's saying like, well, no, I really wasn't. And I think if initially he had just started out saying like, yeah, I'm a prick, and he just like continued with that bravado, and then by this point, we're slowly seeing it like chipped away where people are like, he wasn't actually the one who like did all of that. Then by this point, when why can I never get the vowels correct? Dama. I got
the title is Doma.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Yeah. When she is essentially forcing him back into that role, it would have been really cool if by this point we were like, oh, maybe he's not that bad of a guy that he was putting on, and now he's being forced to like pretend to be that guy, and he's in a more vulnerable situation with it as well, which I just wish they had just been like, just accept that you are a prick. We can accept that storyline.
This redemption so much more powerful. If they just took out that line from episode 2.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that, Randy, too. Like, I know a lot of people have the problem. One of the biggest problems people have had with this series is that it does seem like they are retconning Negan's character. Mm-hmm. And I'm against that too. Like, I do like Negan as a character because of his complicated nature. Mm-hmm. But like Karen, like you just said, God, why can't I think of the word? The word
retroactively?
No,
retcon.
No, not retconning.
Cartoons.
No,
cereal.
Damn it. Not retribution.
Rehabilitation.
That's it.
Yeah, we did it.
I don't know why my brain farted for a moment. That is so much more powerful that I'd rather see him own up to the mistakes that he made and try to be a better person from those, rather than retcon the character and that, oh, he really wasn't as bad as we thought he was. A lot of this was misunderstanding. It was seen from different views. No, I'd rather Negan have been somebody who, look, maybe he was doing what he thought was right, but some of the best villains are the people that are doing the worst things, but fully convinced that they are doing the right thing. Like the best villains are people that are doing horrible things but thinking they are right. Not realizing they are doing wrong things. And I'd much rather like Negan as that kind of character in the past, where he was doing what he thought was right, even though they were horrible, despicable things that he should have never done. And now he's trying to rehabilitate. He's trying to make himself a better person because he knows what he did was wrong.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, he really wasn't that bad. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
No, you go, Randy.
Or just him being surprised by his own rehabilitation, like suddenly realizing like, oh, I'm getting what I need, but I'm not doing it in this terrible way that I used to, and suddenly being like, oh, yes, I made mistakes. Like,
I was just gonna say, and I still can't get over that line in episode 2, but also I can't get over the line in episode 1 where he tells Maggie that you've killed, how many fathers and husbands have you killed? Because there are degrees to killing. Like in our own system right now, justice system, we have first, second, and third degree murders. There's non-criminal homicides where it's justified if it's done to prevent a serious crime, a rape, armed robbery, manslaughter, or murder, which is what Rick's people were doing, and what Maggie has always been doing. And if you can't buy that, would you equate Negan's killing of Luther with Negan's killing of Abe and Glenn? Those are two different kinds of killings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, because we mentioned before when we covered that episode that Luther's
was accidental.
The killing of Luther was accidental. Yeah. He finished the job, but that was more to put Luther out of his misery, and because that's the double tap in this world is someone's going to turn you do the headshot, and that's what he did.
Also, is it possible that Negan has just accidentally killed every person we've seen him kill? Because it happens quite often for him. Like maybe he slipped
That's true.
And hit Abraham, and he was like, "Oh no, gotta finish this."
Well, I mean, the Croat did say that he swung the bat and missed a couple times, so maybe that's what Negan was going for, but he accidentally hit him instead.
Yep.
Yeah, but then he doubled down on Glenn, so I can't give him the benefit of the doubt there.
We were close, though. We almost redeemed his character.
Almost figured it out.
We were so close.
No, but I'm with you on that too. Like on all the points made, I'd much rather Negan be a character who was evil and deplorable and villainous and become redeemed in his actions than somebody who is retconned to, oh, he wasn't that bad to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's his lesson for season 2, I think. I really think they're going to draw that distinction between him realizing, oh, this performance is different than what I have been telling everybody that was just a performance. Hopefully. Yeah.
So do you all think Negan sacrificed himself in this episode? Because I think to a degree he allowed Maggie to bring him to the Croat. Like he could have continued to fight and run a little bit. So
I mean, it's the same result he kind of thought was going to happen to begin with, right? Yeah. He was like, the Croat probably doesn't want me for something nice, but I bet I can draw him out and help you, and I owe you, Maggie. Like, he thought the Croat was going to try to kill him at least. So,
Well, I think he felt that from the beginning. I mean, that was one of the reasons why he said to Maggie very early on, even before he says it again in this episode, is just promise me you'll take care of Ginny. He's asked that of Maggie twice. Now, early on and also in this episode. And that was something I had said early too, is that I feel like the only way Negan gets true redemption is by making a sacrifice. And it might not have been a sacrifice of his life physically, but he kind of did sacrifice himself for the sake of Herschel. And it leads further towards his redemption.
You can see how anguished he is when he's talking to the Dama. Like, I 100% believe that he's a changed person now, but like I keep on saying, I'm sounding like a broken record. It just would have been more growth if, like, he didn't excuse his past.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did love their sparring, his like bravado versus her kind of more elegant speak, and just how they clashed. And eventually she got the better of him. Yeah. I also don't picture Negan as a gin man.
No, I was thinking that too. Yeah. I'm like, no, he is absolutely a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. He is a whiskey drinker.
Which is maybe
has a whiskey. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why didn't he just say he's a yeah. Unless that was just him also, like, that was a power play in conversation where somebody offers you something and the first thing he thought of was gin. It'd been funny if he was like, I'm more of a peach schnapps guy. Like, he's like, oh, why is that the first liquor that came to mind?
Look, you got any Goldschlager? I mean,
oh, gross.
Yeah. But I mean, in that scene too, you're right. Like, he does have this bravado when he's talking to the Dama, but there's that moment where he finally drinks the whiskey.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, okay, he's in now on this plan because he's accepted her gift of the drink.
I think it was brandy.
Well, you're right. Yes. Yeah, it was brandy. Yeah.
And then she immediately is already pulling back her treats to him. Like, she's like, here, have this brandy. And the second he drinks it, she's like,
make it last.
Yeah, make it last, because that's it, basically. Like,
yep. So, well, I don't think it was make it last because that's it. I think it was make it last because we have a long conversation ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I took from that scene, is that this is going to be a long night of talking. Mm-hmm. So don't drink too much because we got to talk.
Yep.
So, anybody else have anything that they kind of want to focus on or bring up?
I have something.
Yeah.
It's rather silly. I was thinking about the power that having a source of fuel in this world creates, and the fact that it was methane, and I just could not get it out of my head. So I created I wrote some alternate lyrics to the tune of Cocaine by Eric Clapton, but it's methane.
Oh.
I'm not a singer. Well, I'm a car singer, but I'm not a sing into a podcast microphone singer. So I'm going to just sort of talk them. If you want to go far in your apocalypse car, methane. If you want to get gassed, breathe it in through a mask, methane. They don't die, they don't die, they don't die, methane. If you got walkers and herds and you want to kill two birds, methane. When your vengeance is done and you brought home your son, methane. They don't die, they don't die, they don't die, methane. Nice. If the old world is gone and you want to rule on, methane. Don't forget this fact. You can't get it back. Methane. They don't die. They don't die. They don't die. Methane.
Methane.
Penny had a lot of time on her hands.
I really didn't, actually, but I could not get it out of my head.
So does that mean instead of being sung by Slowhand, they're sung by Gasman?
Yeah, I guess so.
You know.
I'm not even a huge Eric Clapton fan, but like it popped in my head and it had to be created.
That's also stuck in my head.
No, they were fun.
Now we know the outro music for this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, good call. Good call. I might have to use Cocaine now.
Well, the song as well.
Yeah. That's a whole other Randy. Never going to be invited back on
I have
now.
a note.
I just got that. I'm slow.
What was the note?
I had a couple of notes. Herschel's drawings were definitely Charlie Adlard, right? Like that was those drawings look so much like the comic books.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I couldn't find online like any confirmation of that, but I went and looked at the comics and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's gotta be.
I don't know if this makes a difference, but when did he draw those? When he was back at the Bricks or when he was in the Dama's?
We see him sitting at the desk at the Bricks when Maggie's talking to him. So I think he drew them there.
He's a good memory.
Oh, it's a very good memory.
With him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
he probably in that room for a long time.
I was only wondering because his mom is always telling him to train and like for defense, but you know, at in the Dama's care, he can draw and do whatever he wants. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So he felt more.
It was a very good portrait of her, which seemed to imply he might have been looking at her, but yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Or just that he spent a lot of time with her.
Yeah, I don't know. Just her telling him about when she was a great actress.
Yeah.
She put on performances of Macbeth.
Yep.
On for him.
We also see Herschel playing the guitar at the end, which I think is a callback to Glenn messing around with the guitar on the farm.
Yeah. I totally thought about that too. I like how they're making the Croat wear a beanie for budgetary reasons, so that VFX don't have to keep taking his ear. Yeah.
Well, it seems
like it's all crooked. Yeah. I don't get it.
I think he only
pull it over both ears.
Yeah, right. You could do that. It does seem like he only wears that in front of the Dama.
In front of the Dama, yeah.
Dima.
She probably told him he has to.
Yeah. Do you know what's so funny is you kept saying Doma for so many times until we corrected you and said Dama. I was actually going to mess with you a little bit, and the next time you said Dama, it was going to be no Doma. But I didn't want you to just go insane.
Snap, yeah.
Did anybody go back? I mentioned this on last week's episode, the continuity issue with the scene where the Croat is walking into the theater. And as the door is closing, you can see cars driving in the background. Did anybody go back and rewatch that scene after I mentioned it?
No,
I didn't.
Yeah. There was another thing I wanted to look back on, and it's when Pearlie is driving up to New Babylon, and there's the three, I assume they were people at one point, but they're walkers hanging. We saw them early on, and I can't remember if the middle one didn't look like it had turned yet or something like that. I was just curious if anybody remembered any difference between the two of those.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah.
Any other notes from people?
We see Maggie seeing the Statue of Liberty, but we didn't see Negan seeing it.
Yep.
Not yet. He'll get there.
Yep.
He'll get there.
Speaking of that scene, can I do a geeky film thing since you all are like film nerds as well?
Yes, do it.
What? I don't know what you're talking about, Carrie.
Well, the camera work and the editing there was like really cool. There were 3 shots where both characters are in frame, but 2 of those 3 are more for establishing shots to orient the viewer. Otherwise, the camera keeps cutting back and forth between Herschel and Maggie, literally isolating mother and son in their own frames to show their distance and tension. So the toggling back and forth with the camera, it keeps cutting, and it disrupts the smooth reception of text on the screen. So it parallels the friction and the frustration between the 2 characters in the story.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and if we want to get really technical, one of those 2 shots is called a 2-shot west, where even if both characters are in the same frame, one is facing opposite of the other. And we see that with Herschel leaning his head against the car window.
Yeah, they're definitely doing as much as possible to show that there's a division between the 2 of them.
And I guess if anybody isn't as like big of a film nerd, typically for those you would see like part of the person's shoulder or like something showing them in the frame, but yeah, in those scenes you're seeing absolutely nothing of one of them in each one.
They're in the same vehicle, but they're in 2 separate worlds.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, very cool.
And then I was gonna say, no, I forgot it, but it's okay.
Yeah. I did notice that none of the people woke up in the theater as the Croat and Negan are walking through it talking. So either they party really hard.
Sleeping on the top of the theater seats.
Well, it looks like they had removed some of the seats and had like couches in the place or something like that. Yeah.
Not a great place to sleep. No matter what.
Hey, you do what you got to do in the apocalypse. I mean,
this is New York.
Yeah,
you're right. They sleep in much worse places.
Yeah. It could be an apartment. At least they have the seats of the theater there.
Yeah.
I only have like 2 more other notes. When Maggie was telling the story about Macy's, and she mentions like she would crawl into bed with her mom after she got sick, right? I thought that she was going to say, and I asked Santa to cure my mom, but instead she's like, I asked him to like bring all my lost toys and stuff.
Very kid-like.
And the other one is, again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but the show itself references Les Mis again because, in last week's episode, because Maggie's like, do you know what Negan did? It's not like he stole a loaf of bread. I'm like, that's direct reference to Les Mis. And also, like, I feel like there's keep on trying to reference Les Mis because that is a story about a redemption, like a person redeeming himself and not living to the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Valjean was somebody who broke the law and is kind of redeeming himself for it over the years.
Yeah.
While still being on the run. I mean, it's very similar to Negan and Pearlie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was a comparison that was made early on. I think either in episode 1 or 2, somebody might have been you, Karen, that made the comparison.
It was Karen.
Yeah. I think you did it in your feedback. You made the comparison to Pearlie to Javert.
I don't want to admit how many times I've like watched Les Mis and stuff.
Do you know how much of a Hugh Jackman fan I am? I have seen that version of Les Mis more times than I can count.
Nice.
I can sing every word to Javert. To
All
any
right,
song
well,
Javert
let's
sings.
hear it.
All right, let's go for another half hour.
Maybe we should talk about what. Since we kept on mixing up the vowels, Domashmo means we are home, right?
Yep.
And everybody's home technically, but their family is broken because Herschel and Maggie can't see eye to eye. Negan no longer shares the same ideals and values as the saviors and the former saviors. And Pearlie's returned to New Babylon, but he's also changed his values and his absolutes, ruling absolutely. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Good catch.
Nice.
Penny, any notes on your end before we wrap?
The last note I have is that Maggie's vest is so chic, and I would really like for them to sell a line of post-apocalyptic leather goods.
Yep.
Hey, you never know.
They are selling that.
Yeah.
Like a leather vest thing. Yeah.
It's cool. I'm going to look for one.
Yep.
I liked it.
There you go. Randy, any final notes on your end?
I guess if we're talking fashion, my last one is just the Croat's helmet was amazing. He's got the saw blades sticking out of it. The only thing I question is, did he have to cut the saw blades in half to put them in there, or are we supposed to pretend that there's an entire saw blade sticking into his head on the other side?
It kind of becomes not as useful if the other half is inside the helmet with him.
Yep.
And he goes to headbutt somebody and he takes himself and the zombie out at the same time.
But I do love that, just like the chaotic aesthetic of those outfits. That's kind of what I wanted from this show, was more like grungy.
It's very Escape from New York, right? It's a gang. Yep. They look like a gang.
And they served it up nicely, so I like that.
I want the Croat's name to be something like so bland and anodyne, like Ned or something.
Yeah.
Ned. No offense to Neds, but
oh no, they're gonna start writing in. There are dozens of them.
Guys. The good guys.
Just call him Flanders.
Yeah.
Great. So that was a great conversation for this finale. We covered a lot of stuff, including, I think we threw in some predictions for what we'd like to see at a season 2 as well. So that was something I wanted to bring up, but I felt like we kind of threw it in as we were talking. So that said, we are going to take a short break and it is time for the news.
Infected news.
So we have a couple news stories. A lot of stuff came out of Comic-Con this past weekend, San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to start with the news on fear, just to get it out of the way,
because everyone's dying to know.
Oh, exactly. We got to talk about it.
They're adding another season, right?
Yeah. We've decided to go 3 more seasons. No, they're actually bringing back a character. Fear the Walking Dead brings back Daniel Sharman's Troy Otto.
Yep.
No one's gone until they're gone. Daniel Sharman will reprise his role as Troy Otto in the 8th and final season of Fear the Walking Dead, AMC announced in a clip that screened during the Walking Dead Universe panel at San Diego Comic-Con. While the footage hasn't been released to watch online, the network confirmed Troy will be back from the dead when the Walking Dead spinoff returns for its with its final 6 episodes on October 22nd.
They are going to have to jump through some hoops to explain how he is back. But this Fear seems like it just can.
So, explain to me. I don't remember this character at all.
So he was one of Otto's children in the season 3. He was the one who Madison almost takes his eye out, and he's just like he's nuts. But him and Nick go on like a brainstem drug fueled wandering together.
Right.
Yeah. I remember him now.
Yep. I don't want to spoil it because I still think everybody should go watch season 3 of Fear, but yeah, he was a great character in there, and they are really going to have to try hard to explain how he's still alive.
Gotcha. Okay. And as I mentioned, the other news story that comes up from Fear is Fear the Walking Dead sets return date for the final season, which I just talked about in that, in which will be the network revealed for the second half of the final season will premiere on October 22nd, 2023. And it will be 6 more episodes, I think, before the series wraps up for good. I thought this one was really fun. Robert Kirkman during San Diego Comic-Con revealed that he wanted to kill off Rick Grimes very early in the series. If the Walking Dead writer Robert Kirkman got his way, Rick Grimes' TV journey would have looked very different and ended much sooner. The acclaimed comic book writer took over Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con on Saturday in a panel. In addition to writing a whole host of iconic comic franchises, Kirkman has adapted several of his own, including Invincible, which is going to be returning soon. Kirkman told Hall H he treats every adaptation differently, but when he first got involved with the Walking Dead show, he was eager to deviate from the comics as much as possible, even if that meant killing off familiar heroes. He's quoted saying, "With Walking Dead, I was much younger and much more reckless." Kirkman told the audience, "I was an absolute lunatic. I would get in the writer's room and be like, kill Rick Grimes today. I don't care. It'll be funny. People will freak out and it'll be fun." The writers were like, "Robert, you're crazy. We can't do that." But anytime there were big changes in The Walking Dead, that's what excited me. So yeah, he was, he might have just been playing around with the audience when he said this.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's still fun to think that there's a possibility that the series could have been very different. And last but not least, of course, the big news coming out about The Walking Dead. Walking Dead's Dead City and Daryl Dixon have already been renewed for season 2.
Wild.
Right? Lots of news out of AMC during the Comic-Con period, as yesterday we learned that the upcoming Rick and Michonne series is also going to be called The Ones Who Live instead of Rick and Michonne. But more pressingly than that, AMC has announced that Dead City, the Negan-Maggie series in Manhattan, which just ended its first season, will be renewed for season 2. They've also announced that Daryl Dixon, the upcoming series that strands Daryl in France, will also be renewed for season 2, despite it not even being released until September 10th, 2 months from now. Wow. I like the fact that Dead City was renewed. I don't like the fact that they already announced Daryl Dixon because they should have led us to believe make us wonder what was going to happen.
Well, maybe he's going to do like an entire European tour. Each season's a new country.
It's Big Ben Parliament.
I'm hoping they do a crossover with White Lotus.
Yeah.
Visit one of the.
He just gets there and the resort's completely fine.
Yeah.
I just want to see in one of these episodes just for fun. I want to see like Maggie and Negan walking down some road in the Midwest and they pass this guy with his guitar and a little girl he's protecting.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And they just kind of glance at each other as they're walking past each other. because they all do a lot of walking in those shows. So, but that's pretty much it for the news. I'm sure there might be some more that comes out, but as of now, those are the big main stories that came out of San Diego Comic-Con. Nothing for The Last of Us, but that's because HBO, I think, pulled out of Comic-Con this year. So we might get some of that a little bit later on. So now with that being said, let's move on to listener feedback with listener moans, groans, and grunts. A couple things of feedback to play or to read this week. Penny, why don't you kick us off?
Brenda Tackett says, OMG, just finished watching and I have no words for that ending. Don't worry, Brenda, we have lots of words.
That is one thing I didn't note that I wanted to note as well, and I completely forgot. How badass, other than that split screen of Maggie and Negan, how badass was it that it ended on a Nine Inch Nails song?
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty badass.
Yeah, yep.
That got me hyped. The song alone got me hyped for season 2. I'm like, yeah.
So it's the second, at least the second Nine Inch Nails that's been in The Walking Dead.
Yep. Yeah. Randy.
Alma Contreras says, I hadn't submitted a comment because I don't know how I feel about this finale. One thing that kind of threw me was Herschel's toe gift. What the fuck? Anyway, looking forward to hearing y'all's thoughts. Yeah, it's quite a gift.
Yeah, it's quite a WTF moment.
Do we have any thoughts on what the other keys might open?
Oh, yeah, there were more keys on that ring, weren't there?
Yeah, it's just more.
The keys to the city, she said, so.
Which,
I don't know. Maybe it's just the bank? I don't know.
The keys to the city is his toe.
Yeah.
That'd be weird. I don't know.
Wait, so are we led to believe that Negan never maimed people when he was a savior? Because I remember in season 7, episode 1, Negan said he would take parts off of Daryl or make Rick do it.
Mm-hmm.
What was just an empty threat?
Definitely like ironed people's faces.
Guys,
that counts as
what you're forgetting is he was just acting.
Okay. Sorry.
He was really a good person.
Yeah, what he wanted to do was give Daryl pork rinds, and yeah, they were gonna drink beer together.
Oh God! Now we're retconning Negan. This is not good.
Sorry.
This is not good. Karen.
Lisa Edmondson Walker. Hey, Lisa. She says, I really didn't love that the season ended with an out-of-the-blue new big bad and somehow has Negan and the Psycho Croat bowing to her immediately. Sick gift of the souvenir toe. I was pretty shocked that Maggie totally fabricated what the Croat did to her community and that she came after Negan at the Croat's demand only to get Herschel back.
I thought that was a good twist to the story, to be honest with you. Again, I made the comparison about how in order for these two characters to really interact well, you kind of have to bridge the gap between the two of them. And for Maggie to have been so good for so long and Negan kind of work towards the rehabilitation, it wouldn't have worked. You needed something to kind of pull Maggie towards Negan in his direction. And I thought that twist was a great way to do it.
And of all the people in the world for her to have to sacrifice, Negan seems like an easy choice for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if she has said she's forgiven him and she could,
I don't think she ever said that.
No, but I think the conflict is that she is seeing him as being like a better person, I guess. Not necessarily forgiven, but like I could still see him as a better person and you're like, yeah, I'd still let him die.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be happy to sacrifice him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. All right. This one comes from Michelle, and she says, hey, y'all. Sorry this is so long. That's all right. I noticed something that may or may not be a callback to season 3 of the flagship show. I wouldn't have remembered this moment, except I turned on AMC Plus Live the other day, and it was randomly playing Arrow on the doorpost. The scene I'm talking about comes after Maggie's assault by the governor, which was traumatizing for both her and Glenn. Glenn reacted to the aftermath badly, and he finally apologizes. In his words, I made it all about me. Maggie tells Glenn she needed space, but not from him, followed by, I just needed you to see me. Flash forward 15-ish years to the season 1 finale of Dead City, when Maggie and Herschel prepare to leave Manhattan. Herschel seems to doubt his mom's motivations for coming after him and thinks it's more about Negan. It's like you're obsessed with him, with what he did, he says. I'm right here, but you don't see me. Intentionally or not, these two scenes speak to each other. That's a good, man. What a good pickup.
This is
good
brilliant.
catch.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Glenn's obsession with the governor's actions caused him to push Maggie away. He didn't see her, only what happened to her and what that meant about him. Similarly, Maggie, according to Herschel, only sees Glenn's murder when she looks at her son, creating a rift between them. Following his apology in season 3, Glenn tells Herschel Sr. that he understands now the implications of being given the pocket watch. He knows what it means now to put family first and soon marries Maggie. Maggie's conversation with her son does seem to rattle her as she's confronted with the emotional collateral of her relationship with Glenn's mother, or murderer, not mother. She is Glenn's mother. Oh, no, not Glenn.
Nope.
Herschel. God, now I'm confusing it. I'll stop now.
Domo.
The final scenes seem to suggest she has a new perspective on those feelings, though it's ambiguous what will change exactly. If this season finale is meant to echo the past, it's a sign. I hope it's a sign of growth for Maggie, like it was for Glenn. Maggie's development is something I fear the writers of Dead City don't particularly want to bother with. As a side note, I really wanted the Domo to turn out to be Negan's old principal from his teaching days. That would have been hilarious. Thanks for the ongoing podcasts. Hope to hear you all for the next spinoffs. Michelle, that is a brilliant pickup.
Yeah.
That is a
fantastic
great
feedback,
pickup.
Michelle.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen season 3, so it's kind of easy for me to forget, but I'm remembering it as she's talking about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is a great comparison. Well done.
I also wanted the Dama to be slightly more related to Negan in some way. Her being his old principal would have been great.
Or she was the theater director at the school.
Something.
You know. Yeah.
And they gave all of the money to the gym class instead of the music class, and she's been holding on to that grudge the whole time.
Or the woman he had an affair with that was Lucille's friend.
Yep.
That would have been good.
Yeah, I was waiting for there to be some kind of connection between the two of them too, but there wasn't. So it's all right. It still paid off well. And finally, we do have no live Steving this week for the finale.
No.
I'm actually really thrown by this.
Yeah.
Steve, it's my last episode hosting for a while. I thought you would have. No, that's all right.
Maybe he just emotionally couldn't handle it.
He couldn't handle it. So rather than say goodbye, he just said goodbye for now without leaving a live Steving. No, we do have a feedback. We do have a voicemail from Tammy. So here's that.
Hi, guys. Just wanted to add, you were talking about when the zombies were all coming into Madison Square Garden. Of course, many of us in the U.S. have been there, like you have. But I was thinking, since he does it as a show, and it was a trap, and he had the music ready, I think it's also a little ironic that they came out through the bottom like a wrestler would, and the octagon was still up there, so usually the wrestlers and the UFC fighters, everybody comes in through the bottom. So maybe it was something like that. Who knows? I love listening to you guys. Bye. This is Tammy.
Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, it could have been part of like it was all a show for the Croat.
Mm-hmm.
So let them enter in. I mean, they had entrance music. It was Croatian, but they had entrance music.
I think I also had a small rebuttal to, I think it was the last episode, or where y'all were talking about Tommaso and Amaya. Yeah, and them being eaten so easily in the zombie apocalypse, even though they've lived there this long. And I was thinking about it, I was like, well, people who cut down trees have been doing that their whole life, and there are still chainsaw accidents. It's not like you become perfect at it. So with that thought, I have now allowed for a little more leniency for dumb zombie attacks.
Okay, fair enough. No, it's a good. It's a good comparison. I can't argue or rebuttal. You're absolutely right.
Okay, all zombie attacks are perfect zombie attacks. It has been decreed here. Let's go